see you out here again.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not directed by Joel Schumacher.
If you're not familiar with me, I promise, no spoilers. I never spoil in my reviews, you are safe with me. Ever since that last shot in The Dark Knight where the Batpod just disappears into the city lights, I have been waiting for this movie. I've had problems sleeping, I've been having cold sweats, I've been shaking. This is my most anticipated film of the year. Call me a Nolan fanboy, whatever. Yes, I'm a Nolan fanboy. I'm sorry, I'm a fan of quality entertainment. Shoot me. The Dark Knight Rises picks up 8 years after The Dark Knight ended, and here we have Bruce Wayne. You know, he's kind of in exile. He's a broken character, physically and mentally. Obviously, after he took the fall in The Dark Knight, things didn't go so well for him. Batman is not around anymore. People are wondering where he is. Kids are, writing chalk against walls like bat symbols. The way they introduce Wayne's character in this movie, you really care for this guy. I mean, you cared for him already for the previous 2 films, but he's so sad. You can just see this aura of sadness because everything he tried to do as Batman, he just sacrifices everything for these people of Gotham. And you can just tell that this guy is broken and he needs something. He needs to come back. He needs to rise again. The film opens very quietly, very slowly. You get kind of a bleak feel of what Gotham's like now. This strange underground thing is brewing with this Bane character played by Tom Hardy. You meet Catwoman or Selena Kyle's character and you see where she's going. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a detective in this movie who's investigating everything. He's trying to figure out what's going on with a lot of these underground things he's heard about, this army that's brewing. Everyone wants to know where Batman is. There are people on both sides who think he was good and bad, but the majority of people aren't too sad about the fact that he's gone. Now, Commissioner Gordon is one of my favorite parts of these movies, and you see his character and you can feel that this guy is feeling immense pressure from living under that lie that Batman had something to do with Harvey Dent's death, or that he actually did kill Harvey Dent. And you can really feel that eating away at his character. Pretty soon, certain things happen with Bane. He affects the city of Gotham in a certain way. He affects everyone there in a certain way, and Batman has to come back. And this is where all hell breaks loose, and basically all-out war happens in the city of Gotham between Batman and Bane, between the cops and the criminals. But Gotham is basically turned into a war zone, and Bruce Wayne has to learn how to be Batman again. He has to rise up, as the movie's tagline states, and figure out a way to overcome this immense problem. Now, The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies of all time. Batman Begins is one of my favorite movies of all time. Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors of all time. This movie comes with so much anticipation, especially from someone who loves Batman as much as I do. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't at least like this movie, why do you even go to see movies? Honestly, why do you see movies if you don't at least like this movie? This is one of the best comic book films I've ever seen. One of the most emotionally resonant films I've seen in years, and it's also the best film I've seen all year. The Dark Knight Rises is absolutely fantastic in every way that you possibly need a movie. The acting, the writing, the directing, the score, the visuals, every technical aspect of this film is mind-blowing. It's shot brilliantly. Wally Pfeister just outdoes himself in every way. You watch this movie and you're thinking, how does one person approach this character, this comic book character, and all of these larger-than-life people so realistically, so convincingly, to set you up for this world, to get so much emotion out of the viewer and just make you honestly shake with fear of what's going to happen in this movie. Because the last hour of this film, I can't remember the last time I was that on the edge of my seat. My knees were actually shaking. Now, one of the things I really liked about this movie is that when you see Batman Begins, it's great, you're so surprised by that. And then The Dark Knight is a completely different tone. It's razor edge, the tone of The Dark Knight. When you go into The Dark Knight Rises, all these films fit into place, but at the same time, they're all so different in the way they feel. This film is bleak, it's sad, enthralling, it's extremely exciting, it's suspenseful, it's scary, it's funny. I've never seen a superhero film with such raw emotion at its core and such heart for these characters, and you feel so much for the people in this movie. It's so realistic to the point where you forget 100% about the fact that Batman is fighting some guy, with a thing on his face. What's this cat woman thing? Why is he wearing a bat? All of that just fades away, and you see people. You don't see Batman. You see the character of Bruce Wayne. You really feel that there's a man behind there. You understand why he's doing the things he's doing, and all of these characters fit exactly where they need to be for one of the most emotionally pleasing experiences I've had in the theaters in quite a long time. Let's talk a little bit about Bane, okay? Such a good villain, because let me tell you something. This is the first time as I'm sure you realize, that Batman has ever really been challenged physically. Because in Batman Begins, it was very emotional. It was about overcoming his own problems, really. In The Dark Knight, the Joker challenged Batman's morals and the way he felt about rules and things like that. It was much more of a psychological challenge. In this film, Batman is completely outclassed. He gets pummeled in this movie. And this is the first time Batman's ever actually felt fear for one of his opponents. So that adds this whole extra feeling of hopelessness in this movie. You really want Batman to succeed, but you have no idea how in the world he could ever pull it off, because there is honestly, like, all hope is lost in this movie. It's so well told. In the trailers you get these little hints that Wayne is in some type of prison or behind bars in some way. That whole sequence of the film, it honestly felt like, in a way, it's kind of like Batman Begins. Like, in this film, it was like almost like he had to learn how to be Batman again. Go through a lot of the same issues and figure out, like, how to be Batman at his very core and what he can do to save the city of Gotham when he's in such a hopeless position. And the way this film ties that together through script and storytelling, it's mind-blowing. I have no idea how anyone would begin to approach a story with this much stuff happening in it. I want to talk a little bit about the performances in this movie. This is the best performance by Christian Bale of this trilogy. It's so just deep and sad, and you really feel for him. You feel the hopelessness of this character. You just feel it so much in this movie that he has no idea what he's going to do, and he's just fighting to figure out a way to do it, and it's so great. He is so good in this movie. Tom Hardy as Bane was great. He was so entertaining. Like, I liked one of the ways he talked. It was like almost every statement he made was a question, like the way he would kind of end a sentence, even if it wasn't a question that he was asking and it was just a flat-out statement. He had this way of curling his voice at the end of his sentences. I loved it. And it was also easy to understand. There's only a couple sentences in the movie I was like, what's that? He was so physically imposing too. You really bought Tom Hardy as this villain. You bought the fact that this guy can beat up Batman. They really sold that in the movie. This film has one of the best fight scenes I've seen in years. That's all I'll say. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a police officer in the city, and he is excellent in this movie. You really feel that he's one of the last good cops that really just wants to help. He's not on the take. He's not selling drugs like the cops in Batman Begins. He's not involved with that. He's one of the last few remaining good cops, and you see him and Gordon. His character added so much to this movie. Everyone in this movie is great. Of course, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine. I don't even have to tell you they're good. If Michael Caine ever gave a bad performance, the world would explode. There's nothing in this movie that is like another comic book movie. It's the most emotionally resonant comic book film I've ever seen. I've never seen a comic book movie that has made me feel this way inside, so invested in what's going to happen, so on the edge of my seat. And without spoiling anything, the way the film concludes was perfect. It was so satisfying. I loved it. It was an excellent way to conclude this trilogy, and it's one of the best trilogies we have now. Of course, The Dark Knight Rises gets an A+. So I know what you guys want to hear me say. You want to, hey, Chris, is it better than the Avengers? Hey Chris, is it better than Dark Knight? Is it better than Batman Begins? You know what? I don't like to do that kind of comparison, but my buddy and I, John, are going to be doing a spoiler-filled discussion pretty soon. I'm here with my buddy John from the Flick Pick channel.
Hey.
Sure you guys remember him. We did a spoiler-filled discussion of the Avengers when that came out. We're going to do that again for The Dark Knight Rises. It's going to be on his channel. It's going to be on my channel. After opening weekend, we're going to talk in depth about how we feel about the film, how it compares to the other films, and we're going to do a whole spoiler-filled thing, so look forward to that. It's my buddy John.
Batman.
Batman.
That's all I have. That's all I can think about. Honestly,
It's all I can think about too, buddy, so that'll be soon, and look forward to that. So have you guys seen The Dark Knight Rises? Are you looking forward to it? What do you want to see in the film? And if you have seen it, try to avoid spoiling it in the comments for those who haven't seen it. And as always, guys, if you like this review, you can subscribe to my channel and get Stuckmann.